Что она сказала?
Сейчас подождет еще людей.
Много участников.
Это что за бухарь сидит? Короче, все, Захар, мы пошли. Вы поняли?
Скажешь, что ты
Да.
I'm sick, sorry.
У меня тут есть перевод.
Все, и так ты озвучить вот это вот. Have not come.
Текст напишу. Тебе ж нужно будет эту компанию озвучить.
И когда говоришь, старайся максимально грубым голосом, таким гортанным, в себя говорить. Ну серьезно.
Хорошо.
Взрослый чувак тут должен быть. Дату рождения папа не знаешь, в случае чего?
2 октября 1986. Четвертого.
Мама 5-го, я 4-го.
6.
Запиши мой номер телефона.
Запиши номер телефона, сейчас быстренько, на листочке или в телефоне.
Там вайбер твой есть?
Нет,
Не-не-не,
ирландский.
А, ирландский.
087 933 28 69.
И если попросят почту s.m.vara@gmail.com.
087 7933 289.
087 933,
Угу.
а не 79. 087 933 28 69.
Да.
Почта s.m.
Good morning, everyone.
Varava.
My name's Pauline Cannon. I'm one of the enterprise officers within the DLDC. I hope you can hear me okay. If someone can just indicate if you can hear me, that would be great.
Yeah, you can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Thanks a million. Okay. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start our Start Your Own Business information session. I'll be going through a good lot of information over the next few days. Don't feel like you need to take notes or anything like that. I will be sending out the slides tomorrow. So you'll get all of the information via email anyhow. But look, feel free to ask me questions during the session, or you can enter a question in the chat function and I'll keep an eye on that and answer it when I do get a chance. Now, as I said there, we will be going through a good bit of information over the next couple of hours. We will stop halfway through for a comfort break. You can get a cup of tea or have a walk around or what have you, and then we'll finish off at around 12 o'clock. Okay, tomorrow then I'll be talking to you for about an hour, and then after that we'll have our guest speaker, Derek Walker, who will come on and deliver a session just in relation to his experience setting up a business with the support of the DLDC, and then how he's got on since. He's actually got an absolutely fantastic business up and running now. He's done very, very well, and his story is very, very inspirational. If you're able to sit and listen into that one too. So that will be tomorrow anyway. So I'll continue on today. And as I said, please feel free to ask me questions if you need to. I'm more than happy to answer. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the characteristics of self-employment and what makes self-employment different to traditional employment. And we'll explore the different aspects of self-employment. Now, I suppose there's a lot of people that may feel that they were born in to be self-employed. And then there's other people that just fallen into sort of self-employment. And it doesn't really matter what way you've kind of accessed that thought. Really and truly, it's if you feel that self-employment's right for you, you feel like you've got the determination and the motivation to make it work. That's basically what you need. Obviously, you need to have a very good business idea and you need to have something that's in demand, that people will be interested in. You're going to have customers. That's key, obviously, to any business. So that's something as well to bear in mind. But ultimately, I do believe that anyone can be an entrepreneur and set up their own business. You just need to be very, very motivated in order to do so. So we'll look at the financial and legal requirements in relation to starting a business and what's involved in terms of adhering to financial and legal requirements. and we'll also cover some of the basics that you need to know. Now, this will not be by any means an in-depth sort of bookkeeping course. We will touch on the basics just to create some awareness for you, okay? There are bookkeeping courses available should you decide to pursue self-employment in the future, okay? We'll also talk about the available supports in relation to self-employment. And starting up a business can be very daunting, but there are many resources available to help you along the way. And we'll discuss some of those supports and those supports that you can utilise as well. Okay, we'll look at the enterprise schemes, the back to work and the short-term enterprise allowance schemes. These are the two most popular forms of support that are available, and we'll explain how both of these schemes work as well. So as I was saying there initially, you know, there are certain traits that will help you as a business owner, okay, or an entrepreneur. And when it comes to personal characteristics, there are certain attributes that are essential for success when you are considering self-employment. So you have to be good at planning, okay, and that's critical for anyone thinking of starting their own business. Like once you're up and running in your own business, you'll be responsible for planning your day, planning your schedule, doing the accounts, the bookkeeping, the marketing, delivering your service or product to your customers, and, you know, making sure that everything runs on time in order to run a successful business. There can be a huge amount of admin as well involved in, you know, running a business, and making sure you put time in to do all of the tasks requires planning. So, you know, having that is very, very important, you know, when it comes to business. Now, look, there are some people that can struggle with planning, but once you start putting a schedule in place and sticking to it, it can help you keep control of the planning element of your business, okay? It's basically knowing what you need to do is critically important, you know, and then planning to make sure that you get them tasks done. And there's lots of tools now available to help with the planning side of things with regard to workflow and what have you. And the very basic is a note, paper and a pen, and getting a diary out and using that on a daily basis, you know, and just planning certain time segments for everything that you need to do within your business. You also need to have strong social skills. And this is critical when you're running a business, because you'll not only be communicating with your customers, you'll also be communicating with suppliers, different people that will help you promote your business and push your business. You know, so that's very, very important in terms of running your own business. Now, there are certain businesses whereby that's probably less important if we think now in terms of, you know, online businesses where people are selling from their own website. There might not be such a strong need to have, you know, social skills in terms of face-to-face, but you need to have strong social skills in terms of promoting your product, maybe online on social media platforms or something along them lines. So look, the type of business you are in or thinking of will impact the amount of social skills that are required. If you're dealing with people on a daily basis, you know, it's very important that you have strong social skills. You're comfortable chatting to people. You've got to be comfortable asking for money when it comes to it when you're in business as well, okay? You have to have common sense as well, and trust that your own gut feeling in terms of certain situations that you will find yourself in. And I always say that, you know, in terms of when you are running a business, if you're getting a sense that something doesn't feel right with you, then trust that instinct. You know, if you're dealing with someone and they're tricky about money, or they're asking constantly for you to reduce prices, and it's kind of over and above the normal haggling, okay, the chances are that person's going to be difficult to get money out of in the future. Walk away. You know, trust that instinct that you have, that, you know, things might not feel right in particular business scenarios, as you would do in normal day-to-day life. And you'll get better at that as you go on working with different people within your business. Okay, you also have to be flexible when you run your own business as well. And again, this all depends on the type of business you're in. You know, there are some businesses where you'll have a very fixed schedule and things can be fairly plain sailing. There'll be other businesses where, let's say, the weather might dictate your daily routine. So if, for example, I was to run a landscaping business, this morning it's absolutely pouring with rain, okay, where I am, and I was planning to cut lawns or do some kind of work in terms of people's gardens, okay, but today might not be the best day to go out and do that. So I'd need to be able to rearrange my schedule so that I could do that work maybe later in the week and start doing some marketing or admin today instead. rescheduling, calling customers to say that today's not the best day, you know, and then pushing that schedule around a bit. So obviously it depends what kind of business you're in terms of flexibility, but you know, being flexible is very, very important. You kind of have to really, you know, to a degree, when you are starting out, make sure that you're satisfying your clients and your customers' requirements. You know, we'll often say, if, for example, you're going into a trade or something, you might have to do the emergency work and the 24-hour weekends, you know, work, offering that kind of service just to get your name out there, and being flexible in terms of, right, my weekends from now on are going to be on a Tuesday and a Wednesday instead of a Saturday and a Sunday, just so I can do those emergency calls at the weekend to get my name out there so people know they can call on me for my service, whatever it may be. Look, there always has to be a very good balance as well when it comes to flexibility. You can't be all things to all people all of the time, okay? And you have to look after yourself as well. So it's balancing flexibility with your own well-being as well, so that you don't overdo it, because ultimately if you're not well yourself, you can't run your business, okay? But you do have to have a certain amount of flexibility as well when it comes to self-employment and running your own business. I touched on that just a second ago, willingness to work unsociable hours. And that can often be the case, whether you're in a trade or let's say you're making something, you're making some kind of art pieces. You know, when it comes to sort of seasonal work where maybe you sell an awful lot during Christmas, or let's say coming up to Valentine's, or in the summer months you're making lots and lots of gifts for weddings, you might have to do, you know, long hours to stay on top of demand. Okay, so it's that willingness to work the unsociable hours, do the weekends, unfortunately, work late, because the next few months might be very, very quiet. So what you're doing is you're building up your income in the time when you can, you know, get lots of business so that you can rest a bit later on. I suppose the problem comes when you never rest, okay, and you're just going non-stop. So look, there is that bit of willingness to work unsociable hours. And generally when you start a business, you will work longer hours just to get things up and running, you know, to get used to all of the new things that you have to do as a business owner. You know, it might involve working later on in the evenings or getting up earlier in the morning, whatever it may be, just to get on top of things and get control of things initially, get used to things. But as you move forward within your business, things do tend to get easier for you, okay? You have to get comfortable with uncertainty, and that's just a fact of being self-employed. Okay, there are a lot of businesses out there where they don't know where their next order is going to come from. Okay, they don't know who their next customer is going to be. They don't know when they'll be issuing their next invoice or getting paid for that matter. Okay, and that's something you have to get comfortable when you're self-employed. Again, there are some businesses that hit the ground running and they are busy from the day they start. There's others where it can take up to 2 years for a business to really form itself and get that customer base up and running. Okay, so you'll have to get comfortable with the uncertainty, but you have to trust as well in the process. If you're working hard, you're reaching your clients, you know there's a demand for what you want, eventually it should all fall into place. Okay, and just obviously learning all of the time. Okay, and that's the key. And just don't give up. That's another critical thing when it comes to self-employment. You have to be persistent, and you have to believe in yourself and what you have to offer. If you know it's going to work, okay, you know there's customers out there, sometimes it just takes time to build that momentum and get the word out there that you do have a business that's viable, you know, and you're offering your service. You know, there are some people that open their business and they think straight away that the floodgates will open and there'll be people in buying, you know, left, right and centre. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen a majority of the time. It takes a lot of work, a lot of knocking on doors, a lot of trial and error to get things going. But just get comfortable with the fact that you will be uncomfortable for a while and not know what's coming down the line. Okay. You need support from family and friends as well when you start your own business. Okay. And this is critical because I'll be honest with you, I have been self-employed, and being self-employed can be a lonely place. You know, you don't have colleagues to sort of bounce ideas off of and that kind of thing sometimes. So it's good to have someone you can chat to at home or a friend you can ring just to bounce ideas off or bounce problems off. Okay. We have a very good network within the DLDC for anyone that sets up a business with us, and really strong friendships have been formed between business owners. And we've seen that ourselves through our networking events, okay? So taking advantage of any of those events or trainings that we have up and running when you are in business is critical. because you'll network with people and you'll meet other business owners that you can learn from and get support from in the future. Okay, so just having that support network is really, really valuable when you do set up a business. Okay, obviously you have your enterprise officer within the DLDC as well, and you can always ring us and bounce ideas off us, or if you're struggling with anything, please never hesitate in picking up the phone and ringing us. Okay, if I'm your enterprise officer, you can't get hold of me, ring one of the others. You'll get a list of the names at the end of the presentation. We've got Colette and Eileen, okay, they're both enterprise officers as well, and then Donna too, she's our manager. And she's very, very familiar with business. She was an enterprise officer as well. So we're all very familiar with business and we all want to help you. So, you know, it's good to have the support of your family and friends. But if there's something you're just stuck on, please reach out to us as well. Okay, you need to be in good health as well to run a business. I suppose that comes with a caveat. We have a number of clients that have certain ailments or illnesses that have restricted them from going into to employment for one reason or another, okay? And self-employment has been their only option in terms of gaining some kind of employment, basically employing themselves. And it has worked very, very well for them because they know what their limitations are. They can put in full-time hours to their business, but they have to be able to do it on their own schedule, okay? And these people generally understand their limitations. They know what they can deliver and they know when they can do it if their health is suffering slightly, okay? But overall, they are in good health. They can still work hard and deliver what they need to their customers. And I suppose that's the key in terms of having a good sort of work-life and work-health balance as well, okay? Knowing what you're capable of. If it's a case that you can only work 4 or 5 hours a week, okay, on your business, that could be a struggle in terms of earning an income potentially. And it's something that we need to discuss, okay? But look, if in general your health is good, there should be no issues, you know, in terms of running a business. Okay, and then honesty as well. A really, really important personal trait when it comes to business. You know, I think that being honest is always the best policy. If it's a case that, let's say you've promised a client that you'll be out to them and you can't make it, let them know and let them know the reason, okay? People are very good and they are understanding as well. If it's a case that you've promised that you'll deliver something to someone in terms of a product, okay, and you're not going to have it made on time, let the customer know, look, there's going to be delay of a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be. It could be that suppliers let you down and something you needed to finish the project isn't there. Just let your client know what's going on, you know, and I think that transparency always helps in any situation like that. You know, letting a client know where they stand when you're hoping to have something delivered and then just keeping them updated. You know, that's the key in terms of, you know, running a business. And honesty goes a long way and it helps with that, I suppose, spreading the good word about you and your business. You know, when people like buying from you or using your service, they'll spread the word. Okay, I worked in project management many moons ago and I wasn't a salesperson by any means, but I can remember one of the guys I worked with saying people buy from people they like, okay? And my job as a project manager was to go and explain a software package that we sold and how it worked. And it wasn't a sales pitch by any means, but what I always did was, I suppose, explain how the product we sold would solve their problems or any issues they were having and help the business. And it was easy for me because I understood the product inside out because I helped with the designing of it. But, you know, that side of things, you know, talking to people honestly and telling them how your product or service will help them. Sometimes it's a case that your product or service might not help a person. And in them cases, you have to say, look, I don't think this is a good fit for you. That's absolutely fine. Knowing where your limitations are and what you can offer are is just as important as knowing where something isn't going to work, okay, or is going to work. So just understanding those sort of, you know, when it's right, I suppose, to tell people the truth. If you can't deliver a service to someone, don't say that you can. It makes life difficult for you, okay, and then it can affect your reputation as well as a business owner. So, you know, that's the key, I suppose, with regard to important traits. Another thing as well, I think, that's not on this list that we probably need to add is just, I suppose, just being motivated, okay, having plenty of motivation to get up every day and keep going with your business. You know, having a good positive attitude always helps when it comes to business ownership. and being motivated to keep on going. That is the one thing that will keep you sort of up and going every day, is being motivated and having complete belief in your business and your idea. Okay, so the two main success factors for any successful business are your personal characteristics and your relevant experience. Okay, and I suppose one of the things we do talk about here is the fact that you yourself are your business. Okay, you're the front end of your business. You're the face of your business. You deliver the service or you deliver the product. Okay, so you really are the beginning of your business and presenting that to people. Okay, you need to have relevant experience or training in order to deliver any business or most business types. Okay, some people have a personal skill that they've picked up and it's naturally learned, and that's absolutely fine as well, but they've been able to prove themselves along the way that this is something that people definitely want. Okay, and being self-taught is absolutely fine. Relevant experience as well, it could come from a hobby you have. I know someone who during the pandemic lost their job but was a very, very keen fisherman in terms of hobby fishing. Okay, but they knew everything about fishing, so they knew all about the rods, the reels, the bait, you name it, they knew about a certain type of fishing. I know nothing about fishing, but this person did. Okay, and during the pandemic they started up a business selling fishing accessories online. That business grew, has been very, very successful. Okay, now his relevant experience was as a hobbyist. Okay, fishing was their hobby, but they knew it inside out. They were passionate about it and they absolutely loved it. Okay, and that's what made that business thrive. It was the fact they loved what they were doing, first of all, but they knew all about this hobby because they'd done it. Okay, and that's critical within any business. You need to know your business inside out. He knew who his customers were because they were people like him who liked fishing. So he knew what they wanted. He knew where the demand would be. He knew what the trends were. And that's where you need to put yourself as well when you're running a business. Okay, understand your clients' needs and understand what they want so that you can deliver that.
Покупка аккаунтов.
Okay, let's see now.
Наконец-то у него свайт.
Что, обосранное видео показывать?
It's a wee video and it's going to play for me, I don't think.
Не надо.
Let's see. Now just bear with me. This is a video and it should play.
A video.
Let's see.
It's
not going to play ball with me.
Isn't play.
I'll go down here. See if I can see. Here we go. I have a link here. And try and get it to play for us.
На.
Ебать, оно увеличено, конечно.
Тебе мало.
Now we'll have to listen to a wee ad to begin with.
Реклама.
Shopify's tools help you sell everywhere, like online, on social, in both.
Боже, какая тупая, блядь.
Звука нет.
Да что? Чего никто не говорит об этом?
Прекрасно понимаю тему. Ты понимаешь тему?
Пиздюк. Пиздюки.
А запись?
Какой-то сосед.
А запись вообще на твою речь не ведет?
Нет.
Откуда
Микрофон же выключен.
Так может сам этот...
Нет.
Не пофиг.
А ну-ка с микрофоном.
Разговаривай без матов, дуралей. Какое прекрасное видео. А сколько в нем смысла?
Что это?
И все для
Это
понимания.
микроволновка?
А,
у моей бабушки даже такого нет.
у меня у деда такого уже нету лет 10.
Короче, смотрела я университет. Знаешь, что там внутри было? Этот компьютер в виде коробки, Захар,
А стационарного телефона не было?
Не знаю, не видела.
Просто в кабинете директора такой стоит.
Сейчас тебе покажу этот университет, блин.
Не, ну звук, это звук все равно помогает нам. Но можно и без звука смотреть, мы это понимаем.
Now, so that's just a short video
No.
on entrepreneurs. So as it said there, okay,
No.
there's no definition.
Yes,
Oh,
no.
better. It's away again. Now, go back to this. So as it stated there, entrepreneurs don't necessarily, you know, come from different, you know, they come from all different walks of life. Now, it does state there as well that sometimes if you're born into a family of entrepreneurs or business owners, that would have a slight impact. And we do see that. Okay, we absolutely see people that come from certain families, have maybe a mother or a father or in business, and that will encourage them. It just gives them, I suppose, the confidence that it can work. But more and more we're seeing people come forward and starting businesses that are slightly older, okay? And we've supported a number of people in terms of running businesses, and I think that's one of the main things that we would see. You know, we have older people coming in to start businesses, and they're always surprised at the amount of other people around the same age as them that are starting businesses. And we hear so much now about all these very, very young entrepreneurs starting businesses and being millionaires by the time they're 22 or something. Well, that's not really the norm. You know, they're the exception rather than the norm. So, look, any of us can go in and start a business and be, you know, and set it up and be successful. You just have to have, I suppose, that passion to run that business. Okay, so some of the necessary skills that you will need when you run your own business. Okay, so if you're looking to excel in business, setting up a business, then the following skills are a must-have. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you know, having good administration skills is very, very important when you are running your own business. Okay, there is an awful lot of admin in running many businesses. In terms of invoicing, bookkeeping, the marketing end of things, sending emails for quotes, all of that kind of thing requires administration. And, you know, there's far more admin than we realise in a lot of the work that we do. You know, even day-to-day life sometimes can be a bit admin heavy. And I know I have friends that put an hour aside a week to deal with household admin, never mind business admin. So, you know, that's just something that you have to become strong in, or have someone close by that can support you with regard to the administration side of things. You also need to be, I suppose, proficient in bookkeeping, okay? Now, what we would say is not everybody is a natural bookkeeper, but you need to understand your numbers, okay? And that's the key. Okay, you don't have to do every element of your bookkeeping, but you need to know your numbers in order to be successful when you're running a business. You need to know if you're making enough money, you're bringing in enough money to pay yourself, to pay your suppliers, to cover the insurance, whatever it may be. You need to have a good baseline understanding of the numbers of your business, okay? And we are not saying that you need to manage it all of the time. We have a number of business owners that are too busy to do their bookkeeping, okay? They outsource that to a bookkeeper, but ultimately they understand their numbers, okay? They understand how much they have coming in, and they understand how much they have going out. They have someone doing all the day-to-day admin of the bookkeeping and the invoicing and making sure suppliers are paid and what have you. But ultimately they know where their numbers are sitting. Okay, and that's where the importance, I suppose, lies. Okay. You need to have excellent communication skills. And again, that's regardless of whether you're in a face-to-face type role or online. Okay, you need to be able to communicate either in writing or in person, on the phone. You know, face-to-face, communications are very important when you are running a business, and you cannot avoid them, okay? You can't hide when you're a business owner. If you don't enjoy communicating, it can be very difficult. You know, we do have people, it's not their most, I suppose, comfortable place to be, sort of in, let's say, if you're selling art or something like those, and you have to go to farmers markets or trade shows or something like that, you might not enjoy standing there with all your goods. You're really happy in the studio when you're doing all of your making and your painting or whatever it may be. But then when you're there trying to sell your product, that might feel really, really uncomfortable communicating with clients. But the only way to get better at that is to do it. Okay, and it's never quite as bad as it seems. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. You know, improving those communication skills and those selling skills ultimately. Now we do annual reviews every year with clients to see how they're getting on, and we do check in all of the time when you set up a business, but the annual review is something we do every year. And one of the things that a lot of our clients said to us they needed was help with selling. Okay, they just found it very uncomfortable. So we did actually get up and running last year is a selling skills workshop. And everyone found that really, really helpful. And we'll be running that again this year. Again, if any of you decide to sort of pursue self-employment and there's some kind of training that you need when you are up and running, let's say you need help with communication skills, let us know and we'll do what we can to help you. Okay? Budgeting skills, again, very, very important when you are running your own business. Okay, again, that kind of relates back to your bookkeeping, making sure you have enough money to pay everybody and to pay yourself, pay your taxes, you know, to grow your business if that's what you want to do in the future. Understanding the whole finance element of things, and then your time management skills as well. That again goes back to the planning element that we started on slide 1 there. You know, being able to plan your day, plan the work you have ahead of you, making sure that you deliver on time, whatever it may be, and you're staying on top of everything, and giving yourself time as well. You know, looking after you. You're number one, okay? If you can't look after yourself, okay, ultimately your business will suffer. And you know, that's crucial, is making sure you take the time to look after yourself as well when you are running a business. Okay, assess yourself and see what skills you already have and what skills you need to develop. Okay, everyone doesn't have all the skills to begin with. That's absolutely fine. You know, there's no pressure on you to be able to do all of this on day one. But what you do need to have is, I suppose, a want to develop them skills and learn them. Okay, people generally, if you haven't had to run a business, you won't need to have been a very, very good bookkeeper, okay? Now, believe it or not, running a business is very similar to balancing the books at home. The only difference is the money belongs to your business, okay? As opposed to your household income. No, when you're running a household income, you're looking at all the money coming in, and you're looking at how much money has to go out. A business is exactly the same. You're ultimately balancing the books, okay? So there's a lot of these skills you probably already have, but you might not realise, and you'll just be using them slightly differently when you go into business. Okay, and then what skills you need to develop. Okay, so maybe you're not comfortable with bookkeeping right now. You can do a bookkeeping course, that's absolutely fine. Okay, maybe communication isn't your strong point. Come along to all the trainings, go to the networking events and put yourself out there. Okay, learn those communication skills. Okay. Now, the local enterprise office as well, they offer a good number of courses in relation to people that are going into self-employment. They also have mentoring, and they run a number of programs as well in terms of helping your business become greener, leaner, you know, helping you take your business online should you want to. So staying on top of what everyone else is offering is really, really important. The ETB also offer a number of business courses too. They're actually starting a bookkeeping course very soon in letter K that will run over a good number of weeks that you can take part in. It's on in the evenings and you can apply to do that too. So look, staying on top of all those training courses that are coming up, again, something that's really important. On our, when you do go into business, we have an online support network on Facebook, and I often put up the different trainings that are up and coming with different organisations. There's also rural skill nets. They also offer a number of courses, and I think I put one up last week in relation to time management. So they are, I suppose, all the other organisations know the type of skills that business owners need, and they're constantly running courses to try and support you in those areas, as do we. And I suppose taking advantage of all of those is really helpful when you're in business. You get to meet other people and network. You get to see other professionals that deliver these courses, that have experience with loads of other business owners, that have seen many problems, successes, whatever it may be, and you can pick their brains if there's something you're struggling on with or you want support with. Okay? Okay, so we're now going to move on to the financial and legal requirements in terms of setting up a business.
Это налоги. Именно.
Okay, so there's three main structures that we tend to encounter when we're helping people set up a business. Okay, so we normally, a majority of the people we work with will end up being sole traders. Okay, there's also a partnership option. Okay, and then there's a limited company as well. Okay, so they're the three main structures that we would deal with sole trader being a majority of our clients. I would say that we might have set up 1 or 2 limited companies last year. I know of definitely one. I'm not even sure that there was any more. Okay. Partnerships again, a couple a year at the most. And sole traders, as I said, is the majority. CRO.ie is where you actually register your business name. Again, that's something that we can help you with when you come to that point. So a sole trader. So in order to become a sole trader, by becoming a sole trader, you are setting up your own business. Okay, sorry about that. I thought I had the phone on silent. I'm just going to silence it here.
Простите, что у меня зазвенел уведомление на телефоне, которое давно никто не услышал, простите.
Я услышал.
Да я тоже услышал, но настолько тихо, что это
Sorry about that. So, sole trader, you become a sole trader by setting up a business. Okay, and all you need to do to actually become a business or a sole trader in Ireland, okay, is register with the revenue for income tax and PRSI contributions. And you do this by filling in a TR1 form. And we actually do this for you, okay, when you come and speak with us. Now, some of you may have an accountant already who will do that for you, and that's absolutely fine. All we need to do is see a copy of that if you decide to go forward on one of the schemes. Okay? And then the other thing you need to do is register a business name. So if, for example, I was going to set up a dog grooming business, okay, and in my dog grooming business was going to be Pauline's Poodle Parlour, okay, I would be registering Pauline's Poodle Parlour with CRO.ie. Okay, if I was going to set up a bookkeeping business and my business name was just going to be Pauline Cannon, okay, I wouldn't need to register my business name because it's just my own name. If I was going to be Pauline Cannon Bookkeeping, I would need to register that name. Again, we'll advise you if you need to register your business name. Now, it can be quite tricky on CRO.ie, okay, but we can help you with that. It's not a problem at all. It costs €20 to get that set up. That money goes straight to CRO, the company's registration office. It's not a fee that we charge. We don't charge any fees at all with the work we do, but that's just a fee that's paid to CRO.ie. There's actually no other legal formality required with regards to setting up as a sole trader. Okay, so it's actually very, very straightforward to set up as a sole trader, and you can do it in less than, I will suppose, half an hour. Once you have these few things done, that's you ready to go. Okay, and you can complete your own annual tax returns as well when you are a sole trader. You know, if you're good enough with your bookkeeping and you keep a good record of all of your accounts, there's no reason why you can't do your own tax returns. I was actually speaking to one of our clients sort of later on last year, and she does all her own returns every single year. Okay, she rings the revenue, they have a very good helpline, and they help her to do her own returns. But I suppose the caveat to that is she's on top of all of her books. Every single month she does her own bookkeeping and she makes sure that everything is absolutely up to date, which is a very, very straightforward business. Okay, when I was self-employed, I got an accountant actually to do all of my returns for me annually. Basically, because the way I see it is an accountant or bookkeeper are professionals in the work that they do. They know all about, I suppose, the new rules and regulations that come in with regard to taxation and PRSI and tax credits and all of that. And they know, I suppose, all the rules in terms of returns and the expenses that you can put through and percentages and what have you. And that's something that I was happy to leave to them. I did all of my own bookkeeping month on month, okay, but I submitted all of my returns to them then. I sent everything that I did to an accountant, and they just checked over everything I did, and they made my return for me. For me, that made me feel more secure in that nothing could go wrong with regards to the bookkeeping side of things, and that made me more comfortable. And you know, the fee's fairly small in terms of what they do, but it gives me peace of mind that it's been done properly. Okay, but again, completely your own choice. If you're happy to do your own returns, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so business partnership. A business partnership is an agreement between two or more people who go into business together. Okay, and it can be no more than a formal handshake. However, it is recommended to have a formal legal partnership agreement compiled through a solicitor. And you can complete your own annual tax returns again if you are in a partnership. Okay, now with
Yeah,
regards
what
to being in a partnership, if it's a
Невидимый.
case that you are going to be going back to work
покарает
enterprise
тебя.
allowance or short-term enterprise allowance
Который Аллах
and set up a
алабаевич.
business partnership, okay, you will need to
Который
get a
в суд
legal
легенда
agreement in
Таня
place.
Пушупа.
Okay, that's one of the conditions of going forward. I suppose one of the things with partnerships is you need to deal with all the
Что
really
будет скоро?
uncomfortable
Я
stuff
верю в
now.
макаронного монстра.
Okay, you need to talk about what will happen if the business fails. What will happen if the business is a
Я верю в
huge success
макаронного
and
монстра.
someone wants to buy you out? Okay,
А ты веришь в
what
макаронного
happens to the
монстра?
debt of the business should that happen? Okay, who's going to do what job within the business? Getting all of those things down on paper in the beginning, make sure that you deal with all the uncomfortable stuff early on, okay, before you even get started in your business. If you can't put a business partnership together amicably, without fighting and arguing, you have to reconsider going into business partnership with someone. Because it can be incredibly stressful, okay, being in a business partnership, unless you get on incredibly well. Maybe you both have completely different skill sets. One of you might be a developer, the other one might be, let's say, a salesperson, okay, and then you have other jobs that you split between you. You both have the same goal and vision. You both might want to build a business and sell it for 2 million euros. That's absolutely fantastic. You're both going in the same direction, okay? And you both know what you want and you know what your goal is. But you still have to have a business plan in place or a business partnership agreement in place in case something changes. What happens if one of you becomes unwell? Or what happens if one of you decides you want to move country? Or something changes and you want out before the agreed date or the agreed target is met. Okay, it's just making sure you know what you're going to do should that happen. Okay? So a limited company is a legal structure set up as a separate entity from its shareholders. And it gives its shareholders limited liability. Okay? So really and truly, with regard to a limited company, the limited company is a separate entity to you. When you are a sole trader or a partnership, you are the business, okay? There is unlimited liability with regards to sole traders, okay? Any debt when you're a sole trader, okay, belongs to you, okay? If we go back here, the debt all belongs to you. The same is the case in a business partnership. The debt belongs to the two partners. When you're a sole trader or a limited company, the debt belongs to the limited company. The liability is limited to the company and not to you. It gives shareholders limited liability. Okay, you can have one director, but most companies have at least two. Okay, you have a memorandum and association of articles. Annual audited returns have to be completed by a chartered accountant. So in relation to a limited company, you cannot do your own tax returns. They have to be done by a chartered accountant and they have to be audited. Okay, and what we would always say is take proper legal advice when deciding to become a limited company. Okay, again, it's your choice, but we would always insist that you get legal advice from a solicitor or accountant before you do go into a limited company. Okay, now the tax system. So all self-employed people must be registered with the revenue commissioners. Every self-employed person and director must submit an annual tax return. Okay, and this is a self-assessment based on how the business performs. Taxes are calculated on profits, less expenses and less personal allowances. Okay, and if you see here, when you get these slides tomorrow, okay, you'll be able to click on these links, okay, and this is a link to the revenue.ie and it's starting a business, okay, so that's just there, so you'll be able to click on that tomorrow to go and get more information on the revenue website in relation to starting up a business. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a very quick example of working out your tax assessment. So we have a business here, okay, and the annual turnover is 39,000 euros. Okay, the overheads for the business are 12,000 euros. So the overheads are basically the monies that it's cost to run this business. So it could be the purchase of supplies, it could be paying for your insurance, paying your electricity bill, whatever it may be. All of the bills associated with creating this income here come out of the overheads here. Okay, And then you've taken out drawings. Okay, so your drawings are
5620
the
рублей.
income that you've paid
5600
yourself. Okay, and in this
5620
particular
рублей.
example, it's only 10,000 euros this person's taken out of the bank,
Right,
okay, to pay themselves.
Вот
So
что
what's
было.
left at the end of this is 17,000 euros. Okay, now a lot of people think that this is the money here that they'll get taxed on. Okay, and that's not the case. Okay, you're actually taxed on what's left in the bank, and you're taxed on your own drawings as well, so the income that you've paid yourself. So your actual taxable profits of 27,000 euros, okay, out of that 39,000 turnover. And people wonder why it's that amount there, the 27,000, when you've actually taken your drawings and your overhead. Well, I suppose no different than being an employee, okay? So when you're an employee, you pay tax on all of your income, okay? The same is true when you're self-employed, okay? These drawings here are really wages that you've paid yourself, okay? And you have to be taxed on them, and that's just the system we work on, okay? Now,
Yeah.
with regards to tax bands, okay, they changed slightly in 2024, and I'm just going to run through them here with you. Okay, so a married couple where there's only one earner in the household, okay, that person, for the first 51,000 euros they earn, okay, they will be paying 20% tax. Anything over that 51,000, they'll be paying 40% tax, okay? For a married couple with two earners, okay, the first 51,000, okay, euros, okay, of the first earner will be taxed at 20%, and the second earner can earn 33,000 euros, and they'll be paying 20% on that 33,000. Anything over the 51,000 for the first earner and 33,000 for the second earner, you'll be paying the 40% tax. Okay? A widowed or single person qualifying for a one-parent family, okay? For the first 46,000, they'll be taxed at 20%. Anything over that, they'll be taxed at 40%. A single widowed person without any dependent children, okay, they can earn up to 42,000 where they'll be taxed at 20%, and anything over that 42,000, they'll be paying tax at 40%.
тысяч.
Подели на 3.
Ну, это 112 тысяч.
Подели на 3, это в гривнах будет.
Okay, and now we're going to look at tax credits, and I mentioned those a second ago. Okay, so as a single person, every single person is entitled to 1,875 euros in tax credits. If you have a one earner in the home, okay, but they're married, okay, then that person will be entitled to 3,750 euros in tax credits. Okay, a widowed person without dependent children has a tax credit of 2,450. A single person childcare on tax credit is 1,750. A PAYE tax credit, that's if you're working, is 1,875. And an earned income self-employment tax credit, okay, is 1,875. Okay, so if, for example, you've got your single person's tax credit and you're self-employed, okay, you'll get both of those tax credits. Okay, now let's say that you're a single person and you're working part-time and you're running your own business, okay, you will not get 3 tax credits, you'll only get 2, okay? That's just the way the system works. So it's normally 2 tax credits, okay? Now what we're going to do here is we're going to look at that exact same example. Okay, so the tax and profits, as we said previously, were 27,000 euros. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to work out the 20% of that 27,000 is 5,400 euros. We then deduct, okay, our 2 tax credits. So when you deduct the 2 tax credits from the 20% of tax due, you actually only owe 1,650 euros. Okay, so even though your profits look fairly comfortable there, okay, when you actually work out 20% of those, it's 5,400. But when you take off your tax credits, you're only left owing 1,650.
Эй, женщина,
Okay,
принеси мне вон ту
in
ногу.
tax on your profits. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't stop there
Принеси мне
because
вон
we
ту
also have
ногу.
universal social charge, okay, which also has to be
Ногу,
paid
ногу
on
принеси.
your profits. So for the first 0.5%, okay, up to €12,012, you're paying €60 and 6 cents in universal
Нет,
social
нас
charge.
не спрашивают.
You pay 2% on any earnings from
Она вообще никого не спрашивала,
€12,012
Ника,
and
она
1
сидит
cent
монотонно.
to 25,760, okay, which works out at €274 and 96 cents. And then we pay 4.5% on the remainder, okay, from 27,000. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to take from our 27,000, we're taking off the 25,760, okay, which we've paid tax on here, which leaves us with €55 and 80 cents. Okay, so you're just paying, I suppose, that 4.5% on the difference between them two numbers. Okay, which works out at €309 and 82 cents. Okay, and then we also have to pay PRSI. Okay, and PRSI works out at 4%. Okay, and 4% of 27,000 is €1,080. So at the end of the day, okay, your total liability of tax, okay, on your €27,000 works out at €3,120 and 82 cents. Okay, so I suppose when you look at that bottom line figure, it probably looks quite large. Okay, but what I would say to anybody going into business, okay, the first thing you do as soon as you start earning is start putting away money to cover your taxes. For every €100 you earn, okay, you put away 20 to 25 euros. Put away at least 25%, and that will make sure that you're covered, okay, in terms of your income tax. Okay, what we will do when you're up and running for a while is we will get you to speak to our bookkeeper. Okay, you'll get one-to-one mentoring, and she'll go through your numbers with you. Okay, if she thinks that you need to be putting more money away, she will tell you at that point. But I suppose a good place to start with any business is just putting away that 25%. Okay, 20 to 25%. Now, worst case scenario, okay, is that you put away, I suppose, too little. Okay, but at least if you're putting away the 25% all the time, you're going to be there or thereabouts when you go to pay your taxes. Okay, the positive side could be that you've put away too much. And if you put away too much, then you have a bit in savings, which is again is a very nice position to be in. And I suppose one thing to think about in terms of being self-employed is when you are employed, okay, this money comes out of your wages every single week or every fortnight or every month before you are paid. Okay, you don't even think about it or look at it. It comes out and that's what you're paid, your wages less your taxes. You don't have that worry or that concern when you're working for somebody, okay, or working for a business or an organisation, whatever it may be. But when you're self-employed, it's your responsibility to start deducting that tax, okay, early on, as soon as you get started, so that you don't get into any kind of sticky situation with regards to earning tax or paying tax when the time comes. Okay, that's just the universal social charge rates that we talked about in the last slide. Again, you'll get this tomorrow in the slides. And if your income is under 13,000, you may be exempt from universal social charge. And medical card holders whose aggregate income does not exceed 60,000 will pay a maximum universal social charge of 2%. And payments received from the Department of Social Welfare are exempt from universal social charge. Okay, so corporation tax. Corporation tax is charged on all profits, incomes and gains. Okay, so this is if you have a limited company. And companies pay corporation tax. So there are two rates of corporation tax. There's 12.5%, and this is for your trading income, okay? And then there's 25% for non-trading income. Okay, so that's on, let's say you have a business up and running, okay, and your trading income, let's say you're making some kind of a component for computers, okay, and that's your main trade, that's your main business. And you pay 12.5% on your trading income for your main business. But on the side, you've started investing in stocks and shares, and you've also purchased property to rent out. Okay, you'll pay 25% on your non-trading income. Okay, your income that's not related to your general business. Okay, and that's just the tax that will be due on when you are a limited company. And then directors pay on their drawings, okay, at 20% and 40%, as stated previously. Okay, so directors really are just employees of the company, the limited company, and they will pay tax exactly the same way as an employee does. Okay, and low turnover companies may be exempt from paying corporation tax. And I suppose the main thing to bear in mind here is if you are going to be setting up a limited company, you are going to have an accountant doing your books for you. Okay, so they will stay on top of all of this with regards to corporation tax and what have you. The likelihood is as well is you may have a bookkeeper that stays on top of the day-to-day if it's not yourself, okay? But you will always have an accountant overseeing everything. And I suppose the one thing with regard to corporation tax is you cannot mix any of your tax return dates because you'll end up incurring taxes and penalties. And that's the case for a sole trade as well. You have to make your returns on time. Okay, so preliminary tax, okay? So preliminary tax is basically prepaid tax, okay? So we've talked there a bit about taxation, okay? And we've talked about the tax that was due there for a sole trader, okay? And let me just see, I think it was just over the 3,000 euros mark, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna go back. Yep, so it's 3,120 euros. So if we go back to our preliminary tax now, so notices are issued, okay, so when it comes to paying your tax for your limited company, okay, you pay your taxation once a year, okay, and that tax is due by the 31st of October, so you'll get your notice in September and you have to make your return by the 31st of October, okay, and basically what happens when you set up a business, so if you start your business this year, okay, and you don't start, let's say, till March. Okay, so you'll run your business from March to December of this year, and you won't have to pay any tax in year one. Okay, now it's not that you haven't accrued tax that needs paying, but you don't need to make a submission to the. Okay, you don't actually have to make a payment until October of 2025. Okay, now at that point, what the revenue will want you to do is they will want you to make a payment for all of 2024 and all of 2025 as well. So let's say that your tax is in around that mark of 3,120 that we were just discussing. Okay, that means at that point in 2025, you'll be paying near enough 6,500 euros tax over to the revenue. Now that's why I say from day one, you start putting money away to pay the revenue. Okay, now what you can do, okay, is at the end of 2024, is ask a bookkeeper or an accountant, okay, to do your returns for you and make a return and put money into the revenue so that you cover off your 2024 tax liability. You can absolutely do that. There is no problem with that. And then do the same in 2025, okay? At least then you know you're on top of everything. But you haven't got a requirement to make the return to 2025. And that's the key, I suppose, that you need to be aware of. But what I would say is stay on top of everything year on year. You do not want to face a big bill at the end of 2025. So what you should be doing, okay, for best practice, is making sure that you're putting the money away. You have someone overlooking your accounts. If you're not comfortable with it yourself, okay, you speak to a bookkeeper, our bookkeeper, should it be our bookkeeper, or get someone yourself to make sure that you're putting enough money away and just get your accounts finalised at the end of 2024 and know exactly where you stand. Like in terms of, I suppose, paying your taxation, what I would do is initially maybe open up a small deposit account and start putting money away immediately. What you can also do is pay money into the revenue, into your revenue account. So the money is sitting there waiting to be used for your income tax when the time comes. Now, with regard to preliminary tax, you can pay 90% of the current year's value of tax. You can pay 100% of the previous year's tax, or you can pay 100% of the pre-preceding year's tax, okay? It's complicated enough, but that's basically picking a percentage of what you're going to pay in terms of your preliminary tax. And corporation tax is similar to income tax. So you can pay your preliminary tax through the Revenue Online service, okay, through Ross, okay. You can do it through my account as a once-off debit, okay, and you can do that using your debit card, okay, or you can do it via direct debit either. When you ask an accountant or a bookkeeper to do your accounts for you, they will take your bank details and they'll set that all up for you and ensure that the money gets taken. All you need to do is make sure that the money's there so that when the revenue call on it, that they get paid. Okay, that's quite heavy, okay, going through the whole taxation and the preliminary tax side of things. If you're not sure on it, we will help you one-to-one, okay, and we'll go over that again with you in terms of your taxation, okay. That's kind of as heavy as it will get, okay, for this session. And look, it's a real whistle-stop tour in terms of the taxation side of things. But again, all we are trying to do at this stage is highlight what you need to be aware of when you are going into self-employment and what your responsibilities are. Okay, so look, we'll take a 15-minute break now, or just under. Let's say if we all get back here again for around 11:15, okay, so that's 15 minutes past 11, and we'll get started again. Okay, so look, thanks for bearing with me, and I will see you back here in 15 minutes.
Чего она молчит?
Сказала перерыв 15. Но эта фотка, это просто что-то с чем-то. Тебе нравится такая фотка? Что там батя спрашивает?
Ничего.
Ничего не спрашивает?
Нет.
Срать хочу. Это была его мама. Опа. Так, ну тут двигается Ника.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So we'll get finished off now. It's not too much more to go through this morning. So I suppose I've touched on bookkeeping and record keeping a good bit this morning. Okay, and I suppose ultimately when it comes to running a business, one of the key components of why you're running a business is not only to do something you enjoy, but it's also to earn an income and earn money. Okay, and ultimately if you're running a business and it isn't earning you any money, it won't sustain itself long term. So just in terms of, I suppose, understanding your numbers and staying top of your numbers, okay, you need to hold on to certain documents. Okay, so the documents that you need for your record keeping include sales and purchase invoices and receipts. Okay, you need to hold on to all of these documents. You need to hold on to your bank statements as well. If you have any kind of credit cards that you're using for your business, you need to keep hold of those too. Pay slips and wage sheets if you have them. Any stock that you're buying, okay, whether it be online or in a shop or whatever it might be, you need to keep all of those sort of documents. Also, if you, let's say you're working in a shop, okay, and you have a till, you need to keep all of your receipts in terms of your payments, okay? So there's said totals when you use a till, okay, you'll need to keep those, or that's what they used to be when I looked after the bookkeeping for a shop anyway, okay? So you need to keep all of those till rolls that you might get as well. There'll also be rolls in terms of if, let's say, you have some kind of a card system where you take card payments, you'll have some kind of receipts or statements in relation to that, and they would have to be kept. Okay, verification on records of assets such as property, machinery or vehicles. Okay, you'll need to keep hold of those documents, and any cash book and receipts, anything that you're keeping, okay, yourself manually, you'll need to keep hold of those as well. Okay, records must be maintained continuously and consistently from one year to the next. And I suppose that's the most important thing with regard to bookkeeping, is that you maintain your records consistently, okay, and continuously. To be honest, doing this on an ongoing basis is the best way. As we talked earlier about planning, putting time in every single week to do this bit of work will pay off in the long run, okay? Leaving it for a couple of months makes life a whole lot more difficult. When you're searching around for those receipts, you've seen that you've paid for something online, or you've seen that you bought petrol or diesel in the petrol station and you can't find it, whatever it might be. Okay, if you do this week on week, it'll be easier to manage. So, you know, again, putting time in and planning to do your bookkeeping and record keeping once a week, whether it be on a Monday morning or last thing on a Friday, you know, just sort of get that work done on a regular basis. Okay, and you can keep your books either in English or in Irish. Okay, and records and documents must be retained for 6 years. Okay, VAT. Okay, so VAT, you register for when your business reaches a certain threshold, okay, or your turnover is likely to exceed a certain threshold, okay, you need to register for VAT. So if you are offering a service, that's 40,000 euros. And if you are supplying goods, that's 80,000 euros. Okay, so they're the two thresholds that you have to keep in mind with regards to registering VAT. Okay, and there's two rates of VAT. There's 23% for the supply of goods, and there's 13.5% for services. Okay, and you must operate a VAT system on all invoices once you are registered. Okay, and then the guidelines with regard to VAT registration are, you can click on this link tomorrow when you get the slides, okay, and that will talk to you, tell you all about that side of things. And I suppose the one thing with regard to VAT registration is the revenue kind of keep it fairly vague. And one of the main questions we would get is, when should I register for VAT? Okay, now I've mentioned there just in relation to, you know, keeping on top of your books and knowing where your numbers are and the importance of that. And I suppose if you open your business and in month one, okay, you straight away have an income of 5,000 euros. And then in month two, you're up at 6,000 or 7,000 euros. Month three, you're up at that amount again. The likelihood is if you're offering a service, okay, you're going to hit that 40,000 threshold. But you won't know that unless you're keeping a really close eye on your figures. So what the revenue actually say is when you are likely to exceed, okay, the VAT threshold, then you need to register. So it sounds fairly grey, okay, but the ultimately is if you think you're going to exceed that 40,000, okay, you need to register VAT. And once you do register VAT, okay, you need to operate your VAT system on everything. Okay, so that's on every invoice you issue, you have to put VAT onto it. Okay, and then obviously you're going to be deducting VAT from any of your purchase invoices from that VAT you owe as well. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Okay, if you are supplying goods, okay, your threshold is 80,000. Okay, so let's say in month one, you only sell 2,000 euros worth of goods. In month two, it's 2. Month three, it goes up to 3. month 4 it's 3, month 5 it's 4. The likelihood of you, unless there's a huge increase in your sales of supply of goods, okay, unless it's a massive increase in your sales, you're probably not going to hit that 80,000 threshold. But again, unless you're keeping a very close eye on your numbers, you are not going to know. So that's why it's critical that you're always keeping an eye on your figures, okay? Now, there are some people that may offer a service whereby they'll be supplying goods, okay, and they'll be offering a service as well. And this, in this particular circumstance, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. We have the 2/3 rule, okay? So basically, how this actually works is the cost of any goods supplied as part of a service must not exceed 2/3 of the sale price of the service if the lower rate of VAT is to apply. Okay, and we'll go through an example here because it makes it an awful lot easier to understand. Okay, so the example I always use is I'm going to get a plumber in and he is going to fit some new taps into my bathroom. Okay, so in this example, the labour costs for this job, okay, are €125, okay, and the cost of the taps is €175. Now, the cost of the taps, okay, is only €175, and it does not exceed 2/3 of the overall cost, okay? So it doesn't exceed €200. So in this particular example, you would charge the lower rate of VAT of 13.5% because the cost of the supply of goods does not exceed 2/3 of the overall charge, okay? Now, let's just change the scenario slightly. Okay, so this particular plumber, okay, is only charging €75 for labour. Okay, but the actual cost of the goods is €225. So in this example here, okay, the cost of the goods is over 2/3 of the overall cost of the whole service and goods supplied. Okay, so the cost of the goods is over €200. So in this particular example, you would actually have to charge 23% because the supply of the goods, the materials, exceeds 2/3 of the overall charge. Okay, the cost of the taps is more than €200. Okay, now what I would always say in relation to bookkeeping and accounts, okay, it is all well and good keeping it manual if that's what you're happy with. Okay, but nowadays it's an awful lot easier, okay, to use some kind of an accounts package, and a lot of these accounts packages can now be operated from your phone. Okay, you don't have to operate it from a laptop. You can operate it from your phone, which makes life a hell of a lot easier. Okay, if for example you are putting an invoice together for this type of scenario, okay, your accounting package or your software package on your phone to issue your invoices will calculate all this for you, okay, and you won't even have to think about the numbers. Okay, you put in how much the goods are, you put how much the services are, and once your package is set up properly, it will do all of that calculation for you and makes life so much easier. Okay, and that's not just the case when you're operating a VAT system, it's just general in accounts. An example I always give is, it was last year now, we had a problem with our shower, okay, and I'd booked the showerman to come out, and he'd actually said that he was coming out on a Friday, and that was fine. I would have been all ready for the Friday, but then he happened to be in my area on the Wednesday, and he rang me and he said, look, I'm in the area, can I come up and fix your shower? And I said, yeah, you can. I said, but I have no cash here. And he said, no problem, I take cards. So that was fine. So he came up, fixed my shower, okay, and then from my hallway, okay, he was able to issue with me an invoice from his phone and also take a payment from my card. Before he left my house, I had an invoice in my inbox for my email, and my payment had been deducted from my bank account to pay for his service. Okay, he did all of this with his phone, okay, using an accounts package. And he'd basically done all his paperwork before he left the house. So that's how you make life easier for yourself, is streamlining processes like that when it comes to bookkeeping, okay? You can do that very, very simply. It's just having that, I suppose, the motivation to want to learn something new and put a system in place early on. And I think if you put that kind of a system in place early on, it makes life a lot easier for you. Now, there are certain businesses where that might not work, okay, and that's absolutely fine. But there are definitely a lot of businesses where it will work, and it's something to be thought, to think about in terms of your own systems and what you end up doing with your bookkeeping. So operating a VAT system. So you claim VAT back on invoices and issue VAT invoices to all of your customers. Okay. You submit VAT returns. Okay. So you have to do this every few months. Okay. There's 6 VAT periods in the year. Okay. And you have to issue VAT invoice. You have to issue your VAT returns every few months. You pay your VAT by the 19th of every month that it is due. Okay. And you treat sales as an export with regard to VAT when selling outside the state, and you treat purchases as an import when purchasing outside the state. Okay? Again, this is all touching on these areas. We do not expect you to understand it fully and in depth at this stage. It's just giving you that awareness so that you understand, what will be required down the line. If you do go into business, you absolutely need to do a bookkeeping course so that you understand all this. Okay, no one can expect you to understand it, okay, when you've never been in business before. So claiming VAT. Okay, so you can claim VAT back on invoices relating to overheads for your business. Okay, you must have the VAT content detailed on your invoices. Okay, this is not only on the invoices you receive in, okay, but it's also on the invoices that you issue. Okay, and in order to claim VAT back on invoices that you're given from your suppliers, okay, you need to make sure that they've detailed all the VAT correctly and all the correct information is on their invoices again. So that's just, when you do a bookkeeping course, you'll learn about what an invoice should look like, and, so that you can claim all of that VAT back that you are due. So a deduction is not allowed for any of the following. Okay, so you can't deduct VAT for provision of food or drink or accommodation. Okay, you can't deduct VAT for claim VAT back on entertainment expenses. You can't claim VAT back on the purchase or hire of a passenger motor vehicle. And you can't claim VAT on petrol other than stock and trade. Okay, and what that actually means is you can't claim VAT back on any petrol, okay, other than if you run a fuel station. So if you run a petrol station, I always call it a petrol station, I don't know why, but anyhow, if you run a fuel station, you can claim VAT back on your petrol in that particular case, but you can't claim it back for any other reason. And that's why you get an awful lot of businesses that actually buy vans, okay, rather than petrol vehicles, because they can claim the VAT back on the diesel, okay? And then you can't claim VAT on any goods you buy for your own personal use, okay? And never ever give your VAT number to any other person for their use or their personal use, okay? And this, I used to see this happen years and years ago, more so when people were maybe going into the north to buy goods, okay? So they wouldn't have to pay the VAT, and the VAT was claimed back. It's just not worth it, okay? When you are in business, you need to protect your business, okay? And if you issue your VAT, if you give your VAT number to someone else, so that they don't have to pay VAT on an item, and they might save themselves 50, 60 quid, okay? If that comes back on you during a VAT audit, it just isn't worth it, okay? So what I would say, keep your VAT number for your business only. Don't use it for personal stuff. It just isn't worth it in the long run. And nowadays, everything's far more easier to track and control. And I just think if you keep things clean, you don't have to worry about it in the future. Okay, when must I register as an employer? So if you decide to employ someone, you must contact the revenue and register as an employer for PAYE and PRSI, okay? And when a new staff member commences employment, you will need to request an RPN number, and that's a revenue payroll number, okay? And Ross users can access, okay, the employer payroll services from the Ross homepage. So under the revenue payroll notifications tab, you will be able to request an RPN number for a new or existing staff member. And this will show the tax credits and USC social, USC cut-off points for an employee. And you have a legal obligation to deduct PAYE and PRSI from employees' wages and issue weekly or fortnightly or monthly pay slips. Now, I suppose this is another area where you can automate your business and make life an awful lot easier. Now, when I first moved to Donegal, I worked in a business, okay, and one of my jobs was to automate some of the areas of the business, okay, that were currently being operated manually. And one of them was their payroll system, okay. So what had happened previously to me starting was that the payroll was all done manually, okay. And basically on a Friday morning, the lady who looked after the payroll would work out everyone's payment manually, okay, and then she would do up everybody's wage slips, okay, and then she would put cash into envelopes for every single person, okay, and this would have taken about 3 to 4 hours every Friday morning, okay. And then what would happen is everyone would be given their wage slips or their wages just before lunchtime. And at lunchtime, everyone would take off and pay all of their money into their bank to cover all their normal household bills and expenses and just basically to keep their money safe. Okay. Now, when I came in, I put in a payroll system, and basically what that did, it automated the whole payroll side of things. Okay, so what happened then on a Friday morning was you literally clicked a button, okay, and everyone's payroll was done. Okay, the pay slips were printed, then the money was paid directly into their bank account. Okay, which meant that there was no more employees running up and down the street paying money into their bank accounts, okay? And a job that had previously taken between 3 and 4 hours took less than half an hour. And there was no more cash handling within the business either, which made life obviously a whole lot easier, and it reduced costs because even back then you were charged for taking money out and everyone was charged for paying money into their accounts as well. Okay, so look, you know, automating parts of your business can make life a whole lot easier. And payroll is another one. And you can subscribe to payroll systems very cheaply, okay? But I think the one thing to think about is the amount of time it saves you. So even though you're investing in this software, okay, and it does cost you money, in the long run it saves you money because you're not having to put time into doing the payroll every week or fortnight or month, whatever it may be. And another thing that it does is it calculates all the taxes due, so the PAYE, the PRSI, the Universal Social Charge, all calculated automatically. And normally with a click of the button, the monies are sent to the revenue as well, okay? So all of that work is, I suppose, made a whole lot easier when you start using systems that are designed to complete those tasks. Okay, so pension requirements for employers. Okay, so PRSA. Okay, so all employers have a responsibility to offer employees access to some form of pension arrangement. Okay, and a PRSI is a personal retirement savings account. Okay, and I suppose all your responsibility is as an employee is to offer an employee the opportunity to arrange a PRSA. Okay, and make a deduction, okay, should your employee decide that they want to start paying into a pension, okay? Now, in terms of getting someone to an employee to meet someone, all you need to do maybe is get in a broker or some kind of a pensions provider to come in and speak to your employee. That there is where your responsibility stops, okay? In terms of helping the arrangement, okay? And giving someone access to a pension, okay? And then you actually have to make the deduction should the person decide to take part in a pension, okay? Your responsibility then is to pass on any contributions promptly. Okay, so if it's a case that I join your business, okay, and I say, right, I do want to make a pension contribution every single week, and I want you to deduct €50 a week out of my wages, and I want you to pay it to a pensions provider. Okay, your job then is to pay that money over to the pensions provider. As I said previously, if you have a payroll system in place, that will manage all of that for you. That takes that job off of your hands and makes life a whole lot easier again, okay? So that's another thing just to bear in mind, you know, just streamlining the processes within your business to make life easier, okay? An employer does not have to make a contribution, okay? So you can help, you have responsibility to help someone engage with a broker, okay? and then you have a responsibility to make a deduction should someone want to pay into a pension and pay that over to a payroll pensions provider, but you don't have to make a payment. Okay, so it's just being clear about what you do and you don't have to do with regards to being an employer. Okay, so subcontracting. Okay, so this is just another thing to think about should you be working in normally some kind of a trade. Okay, so RCT is completed online by the principal contractor. So if any of you are going to be setting up businesses, okay, in a trade, you will have to be a principal contractor. If you are going to be availing of the back-to-work enterprise allowance or the short-term enterprise allowance, okay, you cannot be a subcontractor. There is a regulation within the back-to-work enterprise allowance and the short-term enterprise allowance that says you can do a couple of small subcontracting jobs. Okay, now I got clarification on what this meant. And when I spoke to one of the case officers within the DSP, excuse me, my throat always gets dry when I'm talking a lot, so excuse the cough. So anyway, as I was saying there, what they actually said was that you could do 2 small subcontracting jobs, and that meant 2 weeks, okay, and you could only do 2 of them. So that's 4 weeks of subcontracting over a 2-year period. In my opinion, okay, it's probably not worth it. Just in case a job ends up running longer, or the principal contractor says they want to keep you on, and you say I can't, it just causes, I suppose, issues that you don't need to address. We've had people that have subcontracted and ended up being taken off the back-to-work enterprise allowance for being a subcontractor for too long. Okay, so it just isn't worth the risk. The whole reason why the social welfare do not want you to subcontract is because back in 2006, 2007, when we had our last major recession, there was an awful lot of tradespeople that lost their businesses, okay, unfortunately. And a lot of those were subcontractors. Excuse me a second.
Любишь ножки полосатые кушать? Запись-то идет? Можно как-то проверить, идет ли звук?
После можешь проверить. А если идет, то что?
Ну, у меня особо ничего не будет, а тебе расстрел грозит.
There's a number of subcontractors, and they had been working for principal contractors for many years, and pretty much working as employees. And as part of being subcontractors, they weren't entitled to any holiday pay, they weren't entitled to sick pay, they weren't entitled to redundancy, which is key. So although they were operating as self-employed people with obviously increased risk, they probably were paid very much like employees, but with none of the benefits. So they only had one real employer or customer as subbies. And what the social welfare want you to do is have a wide and varied client base. And the whole reason for that is, if you have a wide and varied client base, you are less likely, I suppose, to lose your business should you lose one contact or one contract. And you know what? It does make an awful lot of sense. You know, when you put it like that, if you have jobs lined up, let's say you are a plumber or a carpenter or a builder, and you have maybe 9 or 10 jobs lined up over the next 12 months. Okay, if one of them jobs falls out, you can contact one of your other potential customers and say, look, I can come out earlier. The likelihood is they'll be delighted to see you coming, because so many people wait so long now for trades to be done and jobs to be completed and what have you. So it's just that wide and varied client base is critical when you are, I suppose, a principal contractor. If you start subbing, you're only working for one person, and that person lets you go, that's the end potentially of your business if you can't find another job or you can't find someone else to work for. So I suppose that's the key with regard to subcontracting. So really and truly, what you're looking at this at is in terms of being a principal contractor. So if you're a principal contractor, you will be responsible for collecting RCT, because you may have subbies working under you, which is absolutely fine. So RCT is completed online by a principal contractor. And there are three rates that apply to subbies, okay? So you've got 0%, which is applied to people who previously held a valid C2. You have 20%, which is a standard rate, and then you have 35%, which is for non-compliance. And tax is deducted, will be put onto the subcontractor's tax record, and it's your responsibility of a principal contractor to send that monies to the revenue. And if a subcontractor is registered on Ross, then they can view their record online. Okay, now this link here will take you to the RCT section on the revenue website. Now, something else just to bear in mind, if you do have, let's say, a subcontractor who is at this 35% non-compliant rate, you need to tell them to go to the revenue and just find out why they're on that rate. It could be something very, very simple, like they haven't made a return or something along them lines, and it could be very easily rectified or fixed. So that there is just something to bear in mind. If you notice that you have a principal contractor or a subcontractor and he's been deducted, or you've been instructed to deduct 35% from his income, then you just need to let them know and say, look, maybe speak to a bookkeeper or an accountant or something along them lines, and let them investigate it for him or her, should you not know what the answer is. Now, statutory requirements to consider. So I suppose when you are running a business, there's a whole, I suppose, lots of requirements to consider with regard to statutory regulations, and they will depend very much on the type of business that you are running. So if you are going to be some kind of a tradesperson, okay, you need to have a safe pass. Also, manual handling may be required. What we would also suggest is all businesses have a safety statement up and running. Now, if you click on this link here, it will take you to besmart.ie, which will help you create your own personalised safety statement for free. It involves you answering lots and lots of questions, okay? But they're questions really and truly that only you can answer. I actually tried doing this for my brother-in-law a long, long time ago, and he's a carpenter. And it was near on impossible for me to do because I didn't understand the type of work he was doing. I didn't understand the type of tools he was using or anything like that. So he needed to do it really. And it very much is a tick box exercise, but we thought it would be something different to what it actually was. So again, you are the person who's running your business and you know it inside out. And to be honest, when you do complete the safety statement, it kind of makes you think about safety issues that could arise within your business, and make sure that you put corrective action in place to ensure that accidents or issues don't occur. Some of you may need Garda vetting. Again, we'll advise you if you need this. Safeguarding courses are another thing you might need to complete. You will need, if you're doing a job whereby you have to drive daily, you will need a full driving licence. Okay, you may need to be a member of certain statutory bodies depending on the type of work you're in. So I know if you're, let's say, an electrician, there's a certain body you need to be a member of. Again, if you're a physio, there could be certain bodies that you need to be a member of. Again, it depends on the type of business you're in. You will need to do HACCP training if you want to do any kind of cooking work. And if depending on where you're going to work, you may need planning permission. So I suppose with regard to planning permission, the thing to bear in mind is if you're going to be working from home, Okay.
15
Is your
минут.
business going to have any
15
impact
минут.
on the people that live
Почему-то
around
как
you
будто они
or your
уже
surrounding
трофировались
areas?
хренам, и они
Or is it going to
синие.
majorly impact
Они
your
синие,
home?
Ника.
Ну, по
Again, we'll
температуре
talk to you
не
one-to-one in relation to
А
this.
почему?
Now, if, for example, I was going to set up my dog grooming business in my garden, okay, I was going to get a hut,
так всегда
but I have lots of
Тварь
neighbours where
болотная,
I
раз
live.
надень.
Они не помогают.
I would
Тварь
need to speak to the
болотная,
council
штаны надень.
Да,
because the
проблема.
likelihood is
Тварь
it would
болотная.
impact the area I'm living in and it will impact all of my neighbours.
Крови.
If, however, I was going to set up my bookkeeping business, okay, I wasn't going to have any customers visit me at my home,
Ну, мне нужно сделать
and I was going to be
кардиограмму.
doing my bookkeeping on my kitchen table. Okay, every day at the end of the day, I'll be putting away all my books, okay, and I'll be going out daily to visit my clients, and then I'll be bringing my work back to home. I don't need planning permission because ultimately there's no change of use in my home, okay, and there'll be no customers coming to my house.
Ника, на.
So it's not an exhaustive list in terms of regulatory or statutory requirements, but these are just things to think about. Again, if you're going to be cooking, okay, you need to have your cooking area inspected as well, you know, to make sure that it's a safe environment for cooking food. And again, depending on your business type, we will talk to you in relation to planning permission and the requirements needed, okay? Again, there's certain qualifications needed to do certain businesses. You know, as I said, that if you wanted to be a physiotherapist, there's absolutely qualifications that you're going to need to operate that kind of business. Okay, so within the DLDC, we offer a number of supports, okay, when you get started. And a lot of you will have already met with us one-to-one, okay, and got registered. So what the whole idea is that we have one-to-one meetings with you, and we help you with planning, and it's basically for you and your personal goals in terms of what you want to do, okay? But I suppose the other thing to bear in mind is within the DLDC, not only do we offer enterprise supports, we offer other supports as well. So we do an awful lot of tailored workshops and training programs within the DLDC. And the workshops and training programs are designed based on specific needs of our clients and for personal development as well. Okay, and this plays a crucial role in anyone's journey in terms of transitioning from whatever position they are within their lives, okay? So this is just some of the courses that we've run over the last year, and this will be within other teams within the DLDC. So not just enterprise. So we would have offered personal development training. We would have offered mindfulness training, well-being, life coaching, yoga, self-care and regulation, EHAI, food and hygiene, basic first aid courses have been run. And I've had people that have come through the enterprise system and set up business and then gone on and done a first aid course, for example, with our lifelong learning team. So I suppose the more we know about what you want to do, the more we can help you. So the more you share with us in terms of what you want to achieve with your business, the more we can help you. We've run customer service training, barista training, child protection training, fire warden training, manual handling. We've done safe pass courses as well that isn't here, abrasive wheels, chainsaw safety. We also operated a training program called Steps last year, and it was a fantastic course, one that I completed myself early last year. And basically what it did, I suppose, it was a 3-day course, and to be honest, very, very intensive in terms of what you listen to. And it basically talked about, I suppose, the barriers that we all put up and the limitations we put on ourselves in terms of moving forward in our lives. I believe it's a course that everybody should do at some stage in their life, and it really opens your eyes as to a kind of what you're doing right and what you might be able to improve on. It's certainly not about pointing out your weaknesses or your problems or your issues, but it's about just identifying in yourself maybe habits that you've got into that could be potentially holding you back, you know, and just helping you move forward with regard to that. Okay, and then sort of, I suppose, with regards to ourselves, okay, once you do get up and running with your business, okay, we do offer one-to-one mentoring, okay, so you can meet a bookkeeper or you can meet someone that will help you with your marketing, for example. Or let's say that you need help with looking for financial advice or something along them lines. We will find a mentor that will be able to help and guide you. Okay. We'll also give plenty of opportunities for networking. So you're invited to networking events on a monthly basis. Okay. The next one we're going to be doing is in relation to video and the importance of video for your business. Okay, and that'll be something that our existing business owners will get to go to. And we'll also be doing workshops on an ongoing basis and doing training programs too. And then we give you lots of opportunities as well in terms of promoting your business at different showcase events and what have you that we will offer. Now we do a very large one at the end of the year. And the whole idea of that is just giving you the opportunity to meet your potential customers.
Yes, it minut.
8.
Workshop. Mentoring workshop.
Meet other business owners. Now we've run 2 of them so far, both very successfully. We ran one in Letterkenny in the Clanry Hotel back in 2022, and that was our first one, and it was great. And then we ran one in Donegal Town in 2023 in November. So I ran it more, I suppose. It was getting close to Christmas, so there was a lot of people out and about. And that obviously went very well as well. But I suppose one of the key things that I learned in both of those is that we gave our clients the opportunity to get out and meet their potential customers. But one of the things that stood out to me more than that was the amount of people within our network that had made good friends with other people within the network, and they were all supporting each other, which is absolutely lovely to see. And I suppose one of the things I've mentioned is the fact that being in business can be lonely. And I think taking part in all of those networking opportunities and all of those opportunities to sort of put your business out there is always really, really beneficial. And I was even getting phone calls last week from people who'd seen someone at the trade show, okay, and they were looking to get a client or one of our clients' numbers for one of the services they offered. So I suppose what it does is it plants a seed as well in terms of what your business does. Now, we will not promise that you'll make sales on the day. Absolutely not. We can't do that. But what it will do is it will give you the opportunity to showcase your business in a really safe environment. This is all done. There is no charge in terms of you taking part in any of these kind of showcases. But what it does do is it gives you the opportunity to see what it would be like to take part in a trade show type environment, in a safe environment, and a really, really supportive one. Like I can honestly say they are great days. There's always a really good buzz. We had Highland Radio there. We had outside broadcasts. We had Donegal Daddy there as well, and he was heavily promoting the event for us. And we had lots of videos created, and you may have seen those as well. The videos that we used to advertise the event. And basically those videos were all of our customers that had set up businesses with us, and they were happy to help us promote the event. Again, that was an area where people were able to promote their business and have gone on to get business opportunities as a result of taking part. So look, I suppose that whole thing I said about sort of trying to get comfortable with being a bit uncomfortable really does ring true when it comes to these type of events. You know, some people love them and some people find them a little bit more uncomfortable. But what you need to remember is everybody's in the same boat, okay? And they're all where you were or are. You know, and I'll be honest, when you have a room of, let's say, 60 people, probably 50-60% of them will feel uncomfortable to begin with, you know. But by the time the day's gone on, it gets less daunting. And really and truly, you know, everyone's there to support each other and everyone's there to try and push their business. People know what they're coming in to see. And look, that's ultimately what it really is all about, is just getting your name out there and getting to meet other businesses as well. And we are there, obviously, to support you the whole way through. So again, just some other supports to bear in mind. Okay, Microfinance Ireland. Okay, this is a loan that you can get through the Leo office. And they will help you apply for finance should you need to. Now, there's a lot of options with regards to getting finance should you need it for your business. Okay, you can go to the credit union, your own bank, but Microfinance Ireland is obviously another option for you with regard to business loans. Okay, and then also we have an online support group as well. Okay, so our online support group is on Facebook, and it's been operating for a number of years now. And as I said earlier, I put on there any up-and-coming training, networking events, workshops that we are running. We also have clients of ours putting questions up there too in terms of they're struggling with something, then they'll put that question up there and see if other businesses have had the same issue and, see if they get answers back. Another thing you can do is promote your own business on that networking platform. You do not know when you're in business who your next customer is. It could be someone within the network, or it could be a family member or a friend of someone in the network. Ultimately, when you're in business, you never stop selling, okay? You're always pushing and promoting your business because that is the only way you're going to get customers and clients, okay? Now, there are some businesses, and fortunately for them, the work just keeps on coming, okay? Most businesses have to try harder to, I suppose, grow themselves, grow their network, grow their customer base, okay? But the whole idea of us, okay, is to support you on that journey and to help you grow your business. We will help you find ideas to get your name out there. We'll help you put the systems in place, whether it be social media or whatever it is you need, to get your business up and running. We will try and help you. And we're here to listen as well. And ultimately, we need to be offering courses that support you and help you grow your business. Okay? And that is critical. Like, one of the things we're hoping to do this year is to help all of our businesses ensure they have a Google My Business page. Okay, so if they're not on social media or they're not comfortable with social media, which is the case with some of our businesses, okay, they can at least be found on Google. Okay, and that's where a majority of searches start as well in terms of people looking for any kind of business, okay, is on Google. Most of us go there. It's the most used search engine in the world, and the second most used search engine is actually YouTube, believe it or not. Well, that was up until late last year anyway. It might have changed slightly, but that's what it was. Believe it or not, Facebook isn't the easiest place to be found as a business. Unless you know the exact name of the company that you're looking for, okay, in terms of their business. So, look, as I said there, we are here to support you in any way that we can with regards to running your business, okay? I am going to finish up here today. I will stay online for a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, I'm here. If not, I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and I'll deliver the first half, and then we'll have Derek afterwards just to finish off. So, look, thanks a million for being here this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. And look, please reach out if you have any questions. You can add a question into the comments below or chat. I'll stay online here, or I can chat to you tomorrow. Okay? So look, thanks a million again, and I will see you tomorrow.
Thanks very much, sir.
Thank you now. Take care.
Все, блядь?
Да.
Какой смысл?
Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Нет, пускай вопросов послушаю.
See you now. Bye.
Нету вопросов. Все выходят.
Тогда выходи, Юля.